A knight is sworn to valor. His heart knows only virtue. His blade defends the helpless. His might upholds the weak. His word speaks only truth. His wrath undoes the wicked. Tell me, are the stars shining tonight? Hello, ladies and gents. My name is Imgi, and welcome to Imgi Reviews, the channel where I talk your ear off about movies that I find interesting. And this is my first video. I'm so excited! This week, we're taking a look at Dragonheart, a 1996 action-adventure fantasy film where a knight's quest for vengeance, nope, can't use that word yet, revenge results in both an unlikely friendship with the dragon he's vowed to kill, and revolt against an evil king they both kinda sorta help create. From the characters, to the plot, to the absolutely terrific soundtrack, for a film pushing 30, it brings so many good things to the metaphorical roundtable. Even the animation, which, again, 30 years old, is still really freaking good at times. It goes without saying I love this film. Spoilers ahead! Dragonheart! The movie opens and we're introduced to Bowen, a cheerful knight training with his apprentice, Prince Einan, who isn't that good with a blade but is really good at eating grass. Their training is interrupted by one of the king's men. Einan seems more than happy to see him, but Bowen, not so much.
The peasants are revolting.
Well, that's not very nice.
They've always been revolting, Prince.
He beat me to that joke by 30 years. But yeah, the man, named Brock, brings word that King Frayne wants the prince to witness his noble victory over those disgusting peasants. He even invites Bowen, how kind. Bowen and Einan arrive at the scene to witness the carnage, and Bowen has to remind Einan that killing innocent people is wrong, and that by living by the old code, when he's king one day, he'll be an even greater king than his butcher of a father.
I promise, knight, I will be greater.
Ooh, poor choice of words there, Bowen. Anyway, King Fartknuckle gets the genius idea to trot off alone and burn the houses of the common folk. The same common folk who then ambush him. Prince Fartknuckle sees this and gets the bright idea to go and help. Bowen tries to stop him, but nah. Ooh, they got him by the nip. The peasants beat King Frayne to a pulp and then split in an almost comedic fashion.
Enough! The battle's out, sir!
And in comes the spindly prince with that "my precious" look in his eye. He snatches the crown from his dying daddy's hands and is then crashed into by a girl with a bucket on her head, impaling him on a very dangerous looking shelf. Honestly, who designed that thing? Bowen finally arrives to rescue Einan. Bucket Girl just stands there. She's lucky one of Frayne's men didn't come along and offer then and there. But the plot likes her, and we like her, and we kinda need her to continue the story, so the gravely wounded Einan is brought to his mother, Queen Aislinn. Bowen believes that nothing can possibly save him now, but the Queen thinks otherwise. Subtle foreshadowing. The three are escorted to this mysterious healer, and Bowen keeps Einan awake by having him repeat the old code. A knight is sworn to valor. His heart— you know what, you were at the beginning of this video, you heard it already. They reach the dragon's cave, and Aislinn asks him to heal Einan, to which he says, "No, I know who your boy's daddy is. Why on earth would I do that?" Aislinn promises that Einan will live by the old code. And still skeptical, the dragon makes Einan swear beneath Bowen's sword. The sword part isn't really important. I mean, Bowen eventually snatches it back, and the dragon's claw digs into the blade, creating a sort of dragon claw, blood groove Fuller thing. Zero plot importance. I ain't complaining though, it looks cool. Anyway, the dragon performs his miracle, giving half of his heart to Einan so that he can live. That's why it's called Dragonheart. Oh! Bowen explains to the dragon that all his hopes for a better future rest on Einan. Remember this bit, I'll be digging it back up later. And apologizes for doubting. Before he leaves, he pledges his loyalty to the dragon.
Call when you need of me. Ask what you will of me. My sword, my service are yours.
And not 5 minutes later, Einan plots with Brock to rebuild the Roman fortress using slave labor. Your investment is really paying off, Bowen. Fast forward a tad, and Einan overlooks his new operation as Brock rides up and presents him with the peasants responsible for killing the former king. Einan doesn't kill them, of course. No. In his words, death should be a release, not a punishment. He does almost have one's eyes burned out, though. I say almost because Bowen swoops in. He sets them free before snatching Einan's happy ass off his high horse. Bowen thinks the dragon's heart is to blame for Einan's actions, so he ventures back to its cave to find it. Upon entering the cave and finding no dragon, Bowen vows to spend the rest of his life hunting it down. 12 years later. We then meet the comic relief, Brother Gilbert, on his quest to find Avalon, the final resting place of King Arthur. On his way, he stumbles into a kerfuffle involving a dragon, and pursuing it is none other than our boy Bowen, and with a bow, how fitting. When the dust from battle settles, Bowen emerges as the victor, and Gilbert takes a liking to this valiant knight, though soon after it's revealed that the current Bowen has very little interest in upholding the knight's code. And it's here we meet Felton, one of Einan's loyalists, who refuses to pay for Bowen's great dragon removal service. Disgruntled, Bowen and Brother Gilbert move along together after Gilbert asks to.
Might we travel together?
The road's still free unless Einan's taxed it.
And off Felton goes back to Einan with his new idea. Einan gathers some of his men and goes off to scare babies and torment old people. We then arrive at the quarry, and hey look, it's Bucket Girl again, and she's holding it this time. Bucket Girl's real name is Kara, and she's come to the quarry to meet with her father, the now blind peasant who killed King Freyne. No wonder Einan enjoys tormenting him specifically. Kara approaches Einan and pleads with him to release her father. That was a very poor choice of words. Oh, that's so mean. I'm sorry. He came, he killed a guy, he pissed off. And now she's pissed off. Back to Bowen and Gilbert. Bowen's after another dragon, and Gilbert is being, well, Gilbert. I wonder where the dragon is. Bowen, how are you not seeing this? Okay, so Bowen seems to think that the dragon is behind the waterfall. We know better, don't we? The dragon gets up, tossing Gilbert away in the process, and then it trots behind the waterfall. So I guess Bowen was right, eventually. Bowen marches in after it, and after some back and forth with each other, their fight begins. Those wings shouldn't work. Okay, so this next part makes no sense to me. Bowen uses a rope attached to his saddle attached to his horse to bring the dragon down. Let's ignore the fact that the rope could easily be snapped by a dragon. The dragon is 10 times larger than the horse, so why did he think that would work? The saddle snaps, and Bowen goes for a little ride until he reaches a conveniently placed tree, which catches the saddle and brings down the dragon. How? How strong is that rope? Moving on, dragon falls in a clearing, and their fight continues. Oh, and Gilbert's still here. Well, that's a cool design choice. I'm starting to think the rope wasn't that strong after all. This dragon just happens to be a little weak and a little bit dumb. We still love him, though. Another interesting design choice. I've never actually seen a dragon breathe fire through its nose before. Mouth, definitely, but never nose. That's neat. Anyway, crotch! In the fight, the dragon reveals that he's the last. Bowen doesn't believe it, of course, and their fight reaches a stalemate that goes well into the night. Turns out, in addition to the tail axe and the fire out the nose, this dragon can unhinge its jaw like a snake, and it also has retractable fangs. These dragons are just loaded with gimmicks. I love it. Monster Hunter collab when? So, instead of killing each other, the dragon comes up with a harmless plan in which both involved parties benefit. Scamming people. Dragon attacks village. Bowen slays dragon. Dragon swims away safely. Bowen gets paid. Everybody wins.
Hello.
Why'd he say it all sultry like that? Was he trying to do seduce dinner? I've never been that excited to see food. Ooh, an unattended meat lover's pizza? Hello. Okay, maybe I have done something like that before. The two reunite some ways from the village, and the dragon asks Bowen if he feels any regret for tricking those people, him being a knight of the old code and all. Bowen says no, and here we glimpse a little deeper into Bowen's mind. See, Bowen is disillusioned and bitter because of it. Honestly, I kind of feel bad for him. Bowen believed he could bring back the old, better, and more chivalrous ways, but instead he found an unrelenting cycle of cruelty and oppression. Einan supposedly symbolized his hope for the future, and look how he turned out. If you can't fix something that doesn't want to be fixed, then what's the point in trying?
So I no longer try to change the world, Dragon. I just try to get by in it.
The dragon then becomes the topic of their conversation. Bowen asks the dragon, why doesn't he just welcome death? If he's the last of his kind and has nothing to live for, why keep living? The dragon answers, saying he fears losing his soul. This is explored a little bit later, but for now we're going to go to Einen's castle, where he and his bros are acting a fool like undisciplined frat boys, and Kara prepares to strike him down. Einen catches her before she has the chance and has her sent to the evil dungeon of evil to think about what she's done. Later, Einen goes to her, having remembered who she was and what she inadvertently did to him 12 years ago. We then cut back to Bowen and the dragon, who set up camp for the night. Bowen admits that he only hates one particular dragon, but believes he's dead if this one's claims of being the last are true. Really, Bowen? We all already knew, right? The two dragons in question are one and the same. I didn't even have to tell y'all that they both sounded suspiciously like Sean Connery. We just knew, right? Did the cave distort his voice or something? Or does Bowen just think all dragons sound the same? Are you a dragon racist, Bowen? Anyway, he explains that he hates this particular dragon because his half-heart corrupted a poor, innocent boy. The dragon drops Einen's name, even though Bowen never said it. Oh, great, they're both idiots. Not to worry, the dragon covers it up by saying every dragon knows that story. Real smooth, pal. But he says something interesting to Bowen here.
I taught him the ways of honor, of right.
Then he betrayed you, just as he betrayed the dragon whose heart he broke.
Bowen, of course, doesn't believe him. I've got some thoughts on this, but I'll save them for later. Moving on. Now, this whole time, we've been calling the dragon Dragon, and Bowen has too. But it turns out, he has a name. We just can't pronounce it in our human tongue. It's... He's right, I can't pronounce that. Nope, turns out back at the castle, Kara's getting a little stabby. She got Einen's shoulder, and the dragon felt it too. Same heart, same pain. Einen, the freaky bastard, is trying desperately to woo Kara, and failing deservedly. Ew. You know, the change of clothes and location from prison to bedroom implies something I don't like. You're a freak, Einen. A freak! Later that night, Kara receives another visitor. It the old queen. She sneaks Kara out of the castle through a secret passage that somehow Einen doesn't know about, even though it leads right to his bedroom. Is he stupid? Did he not have a hand in designing the castle? Who am I kidding? Of course he didn't. Back to Bowen. After the dragon's ouchie, Bowen stayed up all night keeping an eye on him. How sweet. He also figured out what to call him. Draco, after the constellation which Draco clearly admires. More on this later. The next day, Kara tries to persuade the people of her town to rise up and fight back. In return, they pelt her with lettuce. They try to pelt her with melons too, but Bowen shows up and puts an end to that. Turns out this village is next on his and Draco's scamming list. Speaking of, Draco arrives soon after and the scam begins. However, the town lord Brock isn't there to bargain with, so Bowen instead tries to strike a deal with one of the village people, Hugh. Or Huey? The movie pronounces it both ways, same guy who fought beside Kara's father at the beginning of the movie. Speaking of Kara, she thinks something's off and tries again to rally the village, this time against the suspiciously convenient dragon slayer. The village does in fact rise up, but only to tie Kara to a cart as a sacrifice. See, Bowen kinda tossed out the idea that dragons like maiden sacrifices, and the town thought, well, who better to tribute than the town crazy? So Bowen rides off to tell Draco to get rid of the girl, which I imagine, would be a little difficult for him because, well, he'd have to swoop down and collect her, cut the rope, which is impossible. He can't do that, we established this. He can slice clean through a tree, but he can't cut a rope, so yeah, there's no way he's getting her out of there. He took the whole cart. And the horse was supposed to bring him down, Bowen? Let's give Draco the benefit of the doubt, yeah. Maybe the village was trying to get rid of that cart because it was infested with termites and the wood was actually super brittle and light, and that's how Draco was able to pick it up so easily. I know I'm just coping with the inconsistency, shut up. Anyway, after some time passes and Draco hasn't returned, Bowen goes to search for him, and he finds him, chilling with Kara. So Kara finds out about Bowen and Draco's arrangement, and as Bowen scolds Draco for ditching him, Draco scampers off, sensing something. Bum-ba-da-bum, it's King Spindly Twink who came looking for Kara. Bowen steps in to defend her, and the teacher and student fight it out once again. By now, Bowen has seen how far Einen has fallen from the virtuous apprentice he once knew. But in this fight, Einen reveals that he didn't fall at all. He never believed in Bowen's teachings of the old ways. He never cared for the old code. The only thing Bowen taught him that stuck was how to fight. I actually think this fight is very significant, but just bear with me a little longer, okay? I promise I'll tell you why. Just as Einen is about to finish Bowen, Draco flies in and brandishes his heart. That and the fact that he's a giant dragon sends Einen and his peeps skittering away. Much to Bowen's disappointment. He had everything under control.
I had everything under control.
See? A little while later, Kara talks to Bowen about the knight he once was, and Bowen looks at her with a kind of nostalgia, because in her he sees the knight he used to be. Unfortunately for Kara and her cause, Bowen is content with leaving that version of himself buried in the past. Bowen and Draco arrive at the next village, and just as Bowen accepts his advance payment, in comes Kara to throw a wrench in the plan. She tries to expose Bowen as a fraud who's in cahoots with the dragon, but in comes Brother Gilbert, haven't seen him in a while, to throw a wrench in her plan to throw a wrench in their plan. A lot of wrench throwing going on around here. Anyway, Brother Gilbert hasn't seen Bowen since his first fight with Draco, so as far as he knows, Bowen killed that one and this is an entirely new dragon. He vouches for Bowen without question and the scheme continues as it normally would. Well, almost. If the plan involves swimming away, you'd think the water depth would be something you'd check beforehand, right? Guess not. With Draco's body in sight, the village people get excited. I wonder how good dragon meat is to get folks riled up like that. Draco gets the heck out of there before we have a chance to find out. With their dragon meat gone, the village folk turn to the next best thing. Long pork. Our heroes climb on the back of Bowen's horse and try to escape, but they end up surrounded. Not to worry though, Draco gets them out of there by picking up the horse. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine! We're cool. After flying for a bit, our heroes land in Avalon, the place Gilbert was looking for when we first met him. Whilst here, Draco recites the old code, landing on truth. And with that, he decides it's about time he tells it. He tells our heroes of the origins of dragons, that they were to be the guardians of mankind, and have a heaven, the stars of the constellation Draco, whose entry into has to be earned. He reveals to Bowen that he was the dragon at the beginning of the film. Big shocker there. And by giving Einan half his heart, Draco believed he could reunite man and dragon and earn himself a place in the dragon's heaven. Contrary to his intention, Draco believes his actions doomed his kind and cost him his place and his soul. That's why he fears death. Draco agrees to go with Kara and Gilbert back to Einan's kingdom to raise an army and take him down. Bowen refuses. Remember how I said I'd eventually talk about certain things relating to Bowen's character? Yeah, now's that time. Up till this point, a key part of Bowen's character has been his bitterness and disillusionment. He thinks himself naive for believing in the old ways, but I'd argue his mistake wasn't believing in the old ways, but believing Einan was the perfect person to embody them. He said it himself.
All my hopes rest on him.
Bowen blamed the dragons for changing Einan, and blamed the world for killing his beliefs. But the world is indifferent, and Einan didn't change. That's why to me their recent fight was so important. It was like a second disillusionment for Bowen. He once tried to make the younger Einan the personification of his beliefs, but Einan shut that down immediately.
They were your belief!
Never mind.
You said the words! You spoke them from your heart!
I vomited them up because I couldn't stomach them.
Thus yanking away the wool Bowen kept over his own eyes. I don't know if this was done intentionally, but I love it so much I thought I'd mention it. That's just my interpretation though. Am I right? Am I wrong? Yell at me in the comments. So right now, Bowen is at a very low point, and he really needs a kick in the butt to get back on track. And who better to kick him than the Force Ghost of King Arthur? Not really, it'll rock. So Bowen kneels down and recites the knight's code with the talking statue, changing his ways by speedrunning his own version of A Christmas Carol, and now he's ready to take the fight to Einan. Draco, happy Bowen's come around, comes out from the shadows, and look at how good this shot is! Look! There are many times in this movie where Draco looks animated. The animation is fine for the times, but like you can tell, he looks beautiful here! Oh my goodness, he looks real! Like I could touch him! I want to touch the dragon so bad! The next morning, we're back in the village, as Kara and Gilbert try to convince Hugh, and by extension the rest of the village, to fight. Hugh doesn't wanna. That's when Bowen shows up. And with a bow. How fit I made that joke already. He reveals that while Einan has an army, they have a Draco. And we get the poster art for the movie. Cool. Training time. Turns out Brother Gilbert is naturally gifted with a bow. And after a little guidance from Bowen, Kara learns to properly swing a hatchet, like her father did at the beginning of the movie. The training arc doesn't go unnoticed. Brock catches a glimpse of the village and Draco, and reports back to Einan. Felton brushes it off, but Einan warns not to underestimate Bowen or the dragon. That's when Queen Aislinn comes bearing a gift for her son. A troop of dragon slayers. Dun, dun, dun! Queenie, no! She has her reasons. At sunset, back at the village, Draco and Bowen have a little heart-to-heart about hope, something neither of them saw or had for a long time. It's a cute little scene in which they both think about what they're going to do beyond tomorrow's battle. The day of the battle arrives, and Bowen and the village people arrive outside Einan's castle. Einan looks angry? Constipated? Mixture of both. Must have been all that grass. But he's about ready to jump down there and start swinging. But Felton reminds him that as long as they're in the castle, they're completely safe. Oh right, the dragon. You'd think Felton would remember that, seeing as this isn't the first time it caught him with his pants down. But that's fine. I'm sure the world's finest dragon slayers will take it down. Okay, never mind. Einan and his peeps take the fight to Bowen, and Bowen leads his peeps into the forest where an ambush awaits. I mean, if the strat worked once. When everyone gets to their places, the real fight begins. Even Brother Gilbert's getting in on the action. Or trying to. As the fight continues, Bowen then has a choice to make between chasing down Einan or helping out Kara. And of course that didn't connect. Of course he chooses to help Kara. Not that she needed it. She cleaved that man.
Like a pudding.
Like a pudding, yeah. I like their dynamic. See, Bowen, this is the kind of youth you let represent your hopes and dreams. Seeing that some allies are in trouble, Gilbert actually decides to help.
Turn the other cheek, brother.
Okay, that was a little funny. Einan sees how badly his men are losing and orders them to retreat. Gilbert fires at Einan to stop him and lands what should be a fatal hit. However, the only person it seems to hurt is Draco. And it's here Einan figures something out. He rushes back to the castle to stop the dragon slayers from killing Draco. Turns out, even though they share pain, Einan's life is tethered to Draco's, not the other way around. I think this is because Einan was technically dead when Draco shared his life force. So as long as Draco lives, Einan is effectively immortal. Back in the forest, Bowen rallies those willing to go with him to save Draco, but only Kara and Gilbert follow him. That night, back at the castle, Queen Aislinn makes her way to Draco. Now that we know of Einan's dependence on him, we know why Aislinn brought in the Dragon Slayers. Draco knows what must be done, and willingly accepts his fate, but before Aislinn can strike the finishing blow, Einan stops her. Yeah, he figured it out too. Defeated, Aislinn walks into a dark corridor. Einan follows and kills her. Queenie, no! Meanwhile, our heroes follow Kara through the tunnels beneath the castle, and hey, they're not alone. Hugh and some other brave souls joined. The rest are outside waiting for the gate to be opened. They split, and Kara leads Bowen and Gilbert to Einan's room where he sits, waiting. Wait, so he did know about the secret entrance? Einan and Bowen start fighting as Kara and Gilbert book it out of there. Einan pins Bowen by the tunnel entrance and tries to close the door on his head by kicking the secret button. Oh, so he did know about it! Bowen kicks Einan in and then rolls in after him. Deeper in the castle, Kara bumps into Felton, who desperately wants out. So Hugh comes along and takes him out. Metaphorically, of course, he's dead. Kara splits from Hugh and a little further down her path bumps into our old pal Broccoli. Today is not her day. Or it is, because after an initial struggle, she reminds him of the power of the holder of the double X chromosomes. What's that called again? Yeah, that. Bowen and Einan reach the top of the castle, which implies that they fought all the way from what's essentially the basement up however many flights of stairs to reach this point. The implications are just funny to me anyway. Einan breaks Bowen's cool limited edition Dragonclaw Blood Groove Fuller sword, but that's okay since he trades it for the axe that Kara used to kill Broccoli, which then gets stuck in a scaffolding pulley thing, swinging Bowen outward away from Einan, who loses his balance and falls. Bowen rides the pulley down, and he and Draco deal with the two remaining Dragon Slayers. Bowen then rushes to free Draco, but Draco pleads with Bowen to kill him, reminding him of the original vow of loyalty Bowen made 12 years ago. Bowen refuses, so Draco tries to force his hand. Beautiful shot. Einan's back, holding Kara hostage. Gilbert's back too. Where'd he even go? And what happened to all his arrows? What'd he do, trip and somehow drop them all? Or was he dropping bodies this whole time? Draco bites his own hand, inflicting pain on Einan and freeing Kara. Enraged, Einan charges Bowen, dagger in hand. And just as the two are about to collide, Bowen takes his axe and strikes Draco in the heart, killing both Einan and Draco. This is sad, man. Why'd I decide to review this one first? Keep it together, we're almost done. Bowen and his allies gather around Draco's body. Bowen asks Draco where to turn now that he's gone. And in that moment, Draco's body turns to stardust, and his voice says,
To the stars, Bowen. To the stars.
He even touched his face to comfort him. Aww. The incredible track called To the Stars plays as Draco ascends to the dragon's heaven. All the stars of the constellation flow into one before bursting, revealing the new Draco constellation, now with a new star within it. The movie ends with Brother Gilbert telling us that our heroes brought about a new golden age, and Draco's star inspired hope in all those who knew where to look. So what would I rate this film? Well, if I'm being honest, I don't really want to do that. At least not in the traditional way. Movies vary far too much with their genres and themes that I can't possibly rate them on a single scale with numbers. Tell you what, here, instead of rating movies with numbers, I'll just tell you if I'd recommend checking them out outside of this review. That way I can be partial. Sound fair? Okay. That being said, do I recommend this movie? If you like dragons and medieval fantasy paired together with action and comedy, I think you're gonna love this film. Sure, it had a few flaws, and I made jokes about the inconsistencies and the decisions of characters and stuff, but the jokes were all out of love, and indeed, there's a lot to love. The world this movie presents, I think, is very cool. There's a lot of exposition and world building, like when Draco explains the dragon's heaven, but there's not so much that you feel bombarded with facts. The characters, too. All the central characters are memorable. Everyone has a part to play, and everyone has a moment to shine. Even silly characters like Brother Gilbert. My favorite character is definitely Bowen. I love his development and his dynamics with the other characters. Draco is a close second. He's a healthy balance of wise mentor and lovable goofball. Speaking of a healthy balance, this movie expertly balances its action, its drama, and its comedy. It'd be easy for a film to lean too far into one or the other, but not this one. There's a time and a place for each theme and emotion, and nothing overstays its welcome. My favorite scenes would have to be any bonding moment between Bowen and Draco. I love their chemistry, as I said before. From them just walking and talking, to the camp scene, up to when Draco sees Bowen recite the old code in the rain. That scene in particular had to be my favorite animated moment. In short, I think this movie is great, and it definitely deserves a watch. Those are my thoughts, but what did you think? Have you seen this movie before? Did you love it, or did you hate it? Did I miss something that you caught? Let me know in the comments. I can't wait to see what you have to say, and I can't wait to share more movies like this with you in the future. If you like this video, please consider pressing the like button, subscribing, and or turning on the notifications. That way you'll know whenever I upload. Thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you when I see you. Bye! Man, the world of Dragonheart is so cool. I just wish there was more of it to see. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know why I'm reacting like that. I already bought the collection.